What's up, guys? We're back at not back, we're at the fair this week. Today's going to be the hog show, and then throughout the week we'll do the goat show, dairy feeder show, all that stuff, But today we're going to cover the hog show, so hang out and let's see.
On deck for Kennedy and Children, and Carter Ashwell, Mary Ann, Carson Barrington, and Kennedy Bacon, Maddie Wilkins, Grace Ford, Lindsay Gabriel, A.M. Hill, Zachary Williams, Bella Petkoff, Fort Russell, J.D. Sager. Please go to the holding. Well, good morning, and I guess first off, my apologies for the late start this morning. This was kind of one of those mornings where something could go wrong. It certainly went wrong, but excited to be here and get to be able to work with your kids here through showmanship and into the market show. And we get started in a very strong fashion here in senior showmanship, and we'll kind of follow our same pattern, penned off our top 5 that we'll resource and then place them. And we're still left with 4 kids that still do a very good job in relation to the ones that catch a pin. All 4 of them have a lot of the basics down in terms of the pigs respond to their whip. You can tell they spent time with them. They have control of their animals, but in the same breath, we've maybe got to work on a few of those extra things, just in relation to the ones that we hold back. Just we need to get these things in a more consistent motion. All of them will give me a good pass or two. They'll give me a good pass or two, but then we'll either get stop and go, or we maybe want to work a little too far away, or maybe lose sight of where I'm at in the ring from time to time, as far as just keeping themselves between the judge, their animal between the judge and themselves. But all four of them do a very, very good job. If you guys would ringside, put your hands together and show those kids your support as they head out. Folks, we bring your top 5 senior showmen back out. If you guys in the crowd would, let's give these kids a nice hand on the job well done. I think all 5 of them get to stay for a reason, and we kind of had 4 and 5 penned up, but our top 3 showmen, all 3 do a very, very good job in terms of if you just glance into the ring, skin and hair, and just showmanship, presentation, and postures on point. These animals respond to what these kids want them to do, and you can tell they've spent hours at home just working on their craft, and it's really, really fun to judge showmanship when they're good, and you can kind of get into some personal preferences and nitpicky details. For me, I think honestly there's one of them of our top trio just for things that I like to see in a showman in terms of just posture, intensity, eye contact, ring mannerisms, and spacing. This is the showman that's the most consistent in terms of their pace, their transition. As the showman I see able to keep their animal moving through their turns the more consistently than our other pair, and at the same time, I probably prefer their position on the animal in terms of where they maintain themselves. I prefer their whip placement in terms of where they use their utensils congratulations there. Maybe critics ringside, every once in a while she'll kind of do a face turn that we do get maybe a nickel more stop and go, but I think you could say that amongst all of them. And a personal preference thing, I can really talk on really our top trio of them. I think whips have a handle for a reason. I think all three of them are almost choked up on it, kind of like you're at an 0-2 pound in a baseball or softball. I'd like to see all of you use the handle of your whip rather than holding it where you are. And again, that's a nitpicky personal preference thing that doesn't really, I guess, necessarily affect the placing here today. I think the closer call is between 2 and 3 because you've got one of them that's driving a more cantankerous animal that maybe teeter-totters on staying on one side of the animal a little too far. You have another showman that probably has an easier going animal that I almost need to just see him relax just a nickel, stay back further on the pig, and it gets really, really close for me. I like the young man to go ahead and go reserve in this particular division. I just saw a couple extra angles and viewpoints of him in relation to a young lady. I prefer his placement on the animal. He stays more back towards that gill, just Hamlin Junction, in relation to the one who wins. He wanted to maybe drift on me ever so slightly. That gill was wanting to fight me through turns. Young lady with the better goes third, and again, I thought that decision between 2 and 3 was very, very close. Maybe almost the polar opposite of our young man in 2, where he wanted to almost drift too far, maybe caught her a time or two almost being too close. And lady, I'd like to see you stay back more towards the Hamlin Junction. That there, you almost want to ride up on his shoulder too much for this particular judge. As we drop out our young ladies there in 4 and 5, they did an excellent job in their own right. Young lady in 4, intensity eye contact was fantastic. That hog just wanted to fight you. Your partner kind of let you down today. Got a little more stop and go. Didn't see quite as much of you. Young lady in 5, again, she gets to stay for a reason. I thought in relation to our top 4, that pig maybe wanted to be a little bit faster. Didn't see as many extra views or angles, but a great way to start off the day. Put your hands together for those top 5 seniors to make that happen. Hallelujah. You need to make sure you come along the back of the show bar.
That's done. You got your daughter there, brother. Huh? You got your daughter there. It's supposed to be your day to help her. I know. I can stand right here and watch you do this. It ain't no big deal. I know this guy.
Our judge today is Garrett Straw, Garrettsville, Ohio. Garrett is a graduate of Ohio State University with a bachelor's degree in animal science. He currently owns and operates G&S Salon, a 100,000 pig operation, selling prospects year-round across the country alongside his family and office. He judged national, state, and
I just stand here like this with my hand in the air. Everywhere I go, it looks dark in there.
Slightly bigger class here in your intermediate division, and we'll pull 5 of them back, and still 7 kids left out here in the ring that are working their tails off again. And in relation to maybe the 5 that we keep back, I think the easiest way, just glance into the ring right now. We see too much of kind of where we're at right now, where realistically I'd like all of us to be working, 5 to 20 feet here in front of me, where several of those kids will give me a good pass or two, and then those hogs are wanting to maybe fight the whip a little bit, or just get a little more stop and go, almost want to stay too far away from me from time to time. And kind of like I said there, when we get them into motion, they'll give me a nice pass or two. It's just not as consistent as with the 5 that we're going going to go ahead and keep back. You get good eye contact from all of them once we're in motion, and then again, they maybe disappear a little bit more than a few of those others. But so if we can kind of start to tie those pieces together and just come in here and just get a longer drive out of several of these animals, I think there's several of them that will be able to catch a pen, but I think just still, they certainly deserve a nice big round of applause and a job well done as they head out, and we'll work through your top 5.
Our 2023 swine show sponsors for today: Alexander FFA, Alexander FFA alumni, Athens FFA alumni. In memory of Dale and Martha Humphrey, Jane Linscott. In memory of Peggy Humphrey Freer, Minuteman Press, Buckley Brothers, Hope and Hyde. Also the sponsor of the Pro Showmanship Chair, Karen and Roger Bale, Green Acres 4-H Club, and the Athens County Fair Board. Give your sponsors a round of applause.
Well, as we get in here to our top 5 of your intermediate showmen, I think that certainly it's competitive and it gets really close. Realistically, maybe take an extra second, because I think there's maybe a little more give and take, realistically speaking, than we had in our senior division from 2 to 5. I think there's a logical place to start in terms of just want to talk about an exhibitor that's able to just keep their animal in a consistent, steady motion and pace. At the same time, they're actually the only exhibitor in this particular division that hasn't cut my viewpoint off. And by that I mean they've always kept their animal in between themselves and the judge. I've seen the most views and angles of them, but at the same time, they've done a good job in terms of just wood placement and posture. Intensity and eye contact is very good. The young lady right here in front of me with the bottle of the goat is going to go ahead and be the champion intermediate showman. Congratulations to her. You know, I guess, again, if we're going to just nitpick and be like, hey, you know, we haven't seen a perfect showman, you could probably, she maybe wants to drift a little bit from time to time. I think, honestly, for as well as that pig responds to the whip, we could probably get that gilt's head up just a nickel more for a personal preference standpoint. But that young lady does an awesome, awesome job. I think if you want to look in the ring and you want to have pick your next best showman and you want to have a conversation about it, I really don't think you could argue a whole lot, because realistically I think the placing between 2, 3, 4, and 5 is incredibly close and it's splitting hairs, because truthfully speaking, I think there's been a time or two where all 4 of these showmen have probably needed to be reserved in this particular division, and then in the same breath, maybe 60 seconds later, they've maybe made a mistake that you need to sort them down the line, and they've kind of all 4 done that, and I don't mean that in a negative light, because I think they're all 4 still very good. It just makes it a little more challenging to say, hey, this is exactly how they need to be placed, when they've all made an extra mistake or two that you'd like to fix. But that said, it gets close. The one that I keep coming back to that kind of follows our class winner in terms of, I've just seen the most eye contact. I've seen this showman show me more angles. I've seen him just at maybe a better pace or more consistently in motion than several of the other ones out here. It's the young lady right here in front of me with the solid black one. We're going to go ahead and go reserve. And again, I hate to sound like a broken record, but it's going to be very similar comments for all 4 of them. If we want to push the young lady who wins this particular division, we've got to be able to keep that barrel moving through our turn. Maybe every once in a while be nickel more cognizant of where I'm at in the ring in relation to the views that I get. So that young lady in 2 does a very, very good job. From there, for me, it gets even closer. I like the young man here in the center of the ring to go ahead and go 3. And he's very good at exactly what he's doing right now. He's always in the center of the ring. He does it, that barrel's presented, skin and hair's good. And what he just did to me right there is why he has to go 3. Every time you give me a good side profile view, when you go to switch sides to that pig, you cross right around that barrel's rear and you cut my viewpoint off. When you do those passes and turns, if you cross in front of his face and not step in front of me, I think we could have a discussion about moving you higher. So like exactly right where you're at right there, I'd like to see you cross right in front of his head. Yep. Perfect. If you do that, work on that for next year, we can certainly start to move you up. From there, I think our pair of showmen on the bottom in there, our young lady and our young man, just both of them just want to drift too far from time to time. I like the young lady on the far side to be 4. Young man here closer to me is going to be 5. And again, I think very close call between that pair. I just saw a little bit more of the young lady, a little more intensity and eye contact. The young lady in 4, honestly, when you first came out, I probably had you spotted 2 higher, and unfortunately, your partner didn't want to be a show pig today, and sometimes that happens. Awesome job of keeping your cool. Our young man that rounds out the class. Your wood placement, your control of that gilt's very, very good. I'd like to just see you more consistently. You almost want to drift too far away from me. A great group of kids. Put your hands together and congratulate all 5 of them as they head out. Well, we bring our top 5 juniors back out here, maybe go just a little bit faster than we did there in our intermediate division, but I think these kids, all 5 are doing an awesome job, and in the same breath, I don't think they line up very logically in terms of this. I think, truthfully, one of them needs to win, and then I think we get a little closer between 2 and 3, and then I think there's a discussion between 4 and 5 as well, but the same things we talked about in showmanship all day in terms of intensity, eye contact, showroom posture, skin and hair presentation, well, exhibitor, but just quite frankly, they show me the most views. They haven't cut my viewpoint off at all. They have a very good understanding of just keeping an animal between themselves and the judge. And if I was to get nitpicky, I'd say, hey, you know, every once in a while they want to go to center field too much and drift too far away from me. But then they always come back and get back into my viewpoint and do the best job of showing me extra angles, kind of maturity beyond their years. Then they'll be able to my left, so we were champion. Congratulations to her. And kind of exactly what I just said there, young lady. If you could just stay closer to me, you do an awesome job, and I wouldn't have to maybe pick on you in that regard, because once you work yourself back to me, you do everything that we've talked about so far this morning incredibly well. I just wish you wouldn't drift so far away from me from time to time, but still, I think in comparison, she needs to win this particular prize. Kind of like I said, I think once you get that young lady that wins the class out, I want you to have a discussion between second and third, and then you have a discussion between fourth and fifth. Because all four of these kids are working their tails off. They all four do a very good job. They maybe just run into a couple different differing issues, and that's okay. We're youngsters. These kids are only going to get better with time and age and just more trips in the ring, more experience. The one I keep coming back to is the young lady in blue directly in front of me. Is going to go ahead and be reserved. And she does what I think the next best job of everything we've talked about. Eye contact, presentation's very good. Skin and hair on that goat's very good. She maybe has a similar issue to the young lady who wins the class. She almost wants to stay too far away from me. I'd like to see her work in more from time to time. I maybe catch her time to time, almost drift and just in between her pig and myself and cut my viewpoint off. And that's probably the biggest separating factor between her and the young lady who wins. The young lady directly in front of me is going to be third and very similar. I thought that was a close decision between 2 and 3. And hers, she does maybe as good a job as any of staying directly in the center of the ring in this particular drive. I maybe just need to see you get that barrel in motion a little bit more, young lady. You maybe almost want to stay on the wrong side of that barrel from time to time and cut my viewpoint off. If we change that, I think we could maybe swap our exhibitors there in 2 and 3. Again, our youngsters in 4 and 5 do a great job of staying in the center of the ring. I think both of them from time to time, maybe again, want to cross in front of me and cut my viewpoint off. Maybe catch the young man drift behind me and disappear out of my viewpoint. I maybe catch the young lady just a little bit more stop and go. And again, those are maybe splitting factors and why they're not in our top 3, but that's still a pair of youngsters that do a fantastic job. I'd like the young man to be 4th, the young lady to be 5th, and a very close decision. And again, that's a great group of junior exhibitors. Give them a nice big round of applause as they head out.
Our queen today. Our queen today, Braylon Bykowski. She is 16 years old and the daughter of Bill Bykowski and Autumn Morales. She is a member of the Salem Livestock 4-H Club, where she has been the secretary and president of her 4-H of her club, and she is also a member of the Athens FFA. She has been in 4-H for 8 years. She has fancy poultry, fancy ducks, market lambs, market rabbits, and self-determined. She is also a member of the Junior Fair Board for her second year. She has also been a camp counselor for 2 years. She will be a junior at Athens High School this year. She plans to attend Ohio State University, but is undecided. Her career goal is to become a veterinarian. Her hobbies include hiking, kayaking, cooking, baking, sewing, knitting, crocheting, and embroidery. Give a round of applause for your queen.
We get out here in you junior novice division, we've got a bigger group of them, which is exciting to see. You got a lot of younger kids interested. Excuse me, you got a lot of younger kids interested in your market hog project here in Athens County, and that's a great thing. If you guys would, before we place them, let's put your hands together for these youngsters and the job well done. Kind of just left the ball off here and let them drive, just let them have some ring time and some experience, and we'll just play your top 5 and do the rest of the entire class at once. But I think that again, they're all doing an awesome job. Hey, we've kind of been watching the show where we kind of just talked about presentation, eye contact, being able to keep our animals at a steady pace and under control, and then show us the most views and angles. I thought, realistically, I thought there was a trio of young ladies that maybe stood out in that regard, and then past that, I thought there was one of them who excelled. You just simply put, you saw more of her animal, you saw a few extra views, and you just saw her at a more consistent pace. And I'm not trying to tell you she's perfect. She maybe wants to drift off to the side a little too far from time to time, but always comes back to center where I need her. Young lady with the calico barrel here in front of me is going to win this promotion. It's a very nice job. Congratulations to her. I think from there it gets even closer between another pair of young ladies, and ultimately the deciding factor, unfortunately, one of the young ladies picked doesn't maybe want to cooperate with her quite as much, maybe wants to fight the whip a little more, and I catch her on the rail and that's a little more. But the young lady right here with kind of the white-footed gills is going to go ahead and do reserve. And because there's kind of some of those same things, I see more of her. She's always working towards the center of the ring. In relation, the young lady who wins. We've got to see maybe change what we're doing right now. We've got to just get that going a little faster here, get her in motion, just a little more consistency. Our third place one I thought was very close. Honestly, close, maybe a fraction there for a while, and our Jill kind of finds the rail. We don't see as much of her, but a young lady there in kind of the pinkish colored shirt in the corner is going to go ahead and be third. And, I think when you're out in the center of the ring and you're doing what you need to do and your Jill's cooperating with you, you're first our class winner, because you're probably as good in terms of intensity and posture as any of them. Just have to have it more consistent, and I really don't think that's necessarily your fault today. It's a partnership game, and sometimes if your partner decides they're done, then there's not a whole lot you can do about it. Did a great job past that. Our young man with the belly hog right here in front of me is going to be forward, and he maybe work towards the center of the ring a little bit more than what our young lady in third did. In the same breath, his eye contact's good. He's always on the right side of that gill. A little more softened though. He maybe wanted to drift a little farther away from time to time. The young man does an absolutely awesome job. When it comes out here to picking your fifth one, I still think a ton of kids, and the decision gets incredibly close because they are younger. They're not quite as experienced. They need more time through the ring, because all of them, maybe similar to what we talked in our actual junior drive, gave me a good pass or two, and they kind of disappear on us, and then all of a sudden they come back, and maybe not quite as consistent as what those top 4 were, but very, very, very close. You can make a case for several of them. I like the young lady with the belly gill and the white shirt right there on the far side. Going to go ahead and slide into that first spot. And again, I just maybe thought she was able to just escape the crowd a few extra times in relation. A great group of your beginner novice division, or junior novice, excuse me. Give them one big round of applause and show them your support as they head out. Judge, this is your class. Our king today is Jacob Anno. He is 16 years old and the son of Tim and Krista Anno. He is a member of the Ames Burn Wonders 4-H Club. He has been the vice president and treasurer in the past. He has been at 4-H for 8 years. He is also a member of the Junior Fair Board for 3. He has been a camp counselor for the past 2 years. He has shown flying chickens and a market steer along with skill projects such as woodworking, small engines, robotics, beekeeping, and Native American artifacts. He is a member of the golf, archery, baseball, and trap shooting teams at Athens High School, where he will be a junior this year. He will be going to Tri-County Career Center for HVAC FAB for part of his stay. He plans to attend Ohio University to study aviation engineering. He enjoys hunting, fishing, baseball, 4-H, hiking, biking, or anything outdoors. Give it up for your Tim. your 6 representatives out here for your color master showmanship. It certainly becomes fun. If you guys would ringside, let's show these kids your support on an awesome job. Thanks. Very fun group of them to evaluate, and even I think we got 2 of them that came to your junior and senior novice division. So they maybe haven't been doing it as long, but they certainly jumped right in here and certainly fit into the mix. It's a very competitive group of them, and I'd be lying to you if I said I think the decision's easy out here, and it's not easy because it's a competitive group of them. I think there's 3 or 4 showmen that maybe stick out to do an awesome job, and if we're just going to be honest with ourselves, I think all 3 or 4 of those showmen have probably made a mistake or 2, or you'd like to change them all in a spot or 2, and you take an extra second because you just can't grab the mic and say, hey, this is a non-negotiable, and then that's completely okay. It becomes fun, it's competitive, and I think it's very, very close. Just to kind of talk, I guess if you were watching in the ring, I think one of them in contention, and I'd like to see them just relax on their hip from time to time. I think they want to ride the shoulder and be up on this pig's head and shoulder blade too much. If we could change them there, I'd say, hey, we could roll and run with that one. I think one of them probably, truthfully, does the best job of just utilizing space in the ring. They're the one that probably isn't afraid to get out of the crowd the most. And in the same breath, maybe their entrance wasn't perfect. They maybe want to drift too far away from me from time to time. And then you've got another one that, in terms of just entrance and posture, skin and hair is very, very good. I'd like to change our whip placement. We almost want to get that pig on their shoulder blade or their forearm a little more than I would deem ideal. I'd like to see this individual just keep their hand off of their pig. And, and I maybe caught him one time that crossed right in front of me, cut my viewpoint off. So if you're standing ringside and you're watching, you probably know the 3 of them I'm talking about. That's where I need to change all 3 of them. But all 3 of them are smoking good in other areas and aspects. I guess the one that I keep coming back to that, I don't single trade market hogs. I don't single trade showmen either. If they change their entrance when they come in, I think my decision's really, really easy. They're still my favorite one. They utilize the ring the best. They separate themselves from the other showmen the best. A young lady that wins the junior division for self-settling. I told you it's very, very close. If you want to sit there and count your fists on the table for the 2 other ones that are go reserve and third, I get it. Because again, I'm pretty blunt, I'm pretty frank. When we kind of came into this deal, I knew there was a showman we hadn't seen yet, but I thought, man, there's one of them that's going to be hard to beat. The young lady in front of me is going to go reserve, and she's the one. I said, if you want to talk sitting here and presentation, her intensity and her eye contact is absolutely more my speed. She's the one. It's a personal preference thing. I'd love to see you just keep your hand off of that thing. I caught you there right before I go to the microphone. I don't know if you didn't think I was looking or not, or what, but you're on the wrong side of that barrel doing a pass through. But man, I think it's close. The other one that we had earned the right to be here is obviously one in years past, and you can definitely tell why. Young lady in the black there on the far side goes 30, and she was the one in contention too. I said that top 3 was close. Maybe that barrel, honestly, is probably not cooperating for her as well as I think she would particularly like. She's the one that said maybe wanted to be up on the shoulder blade and head of that pig a nickel more than I would deem ideal. But man, if you want to talk about this eye contact, posture, intensity, she's there. We've got to place 5 of them here. Unfortunately, we're going to have to leave one of them out, but that's taking nothing away from any of them. Young lady that went to her intermediates with the Velvet Goat is going to be the 4th one out again. It seems that, honestly, I hate to sound like a broken record, exactly what I said about her in her division. I still think reigns true. Her eye contact's awesome, her pace is awesome. Maybe you don't see quite as much of her as our top 3. We maybe drift a little bit more. That leaves us with our pair of novice showmen. And kind of like I said when I grabbed the microphone, even though it's their 1st or 2nd year, we don't have as much experience. They certainly jump in here. They fit right in with them. Quite frankly, I see more of them. There was one of them that maybe didn't disappear behind me quite as much. All of them did a fantastic job in this division. Your young lady with the calico will be 5. Young man with the blue one's going to be 6. Very fun group of them to evaluate. Put your hands together and congratulate all those showmen as they head out.